Any other questions? The MiFi hotspot is this little device right here. So we talked about your phone being hotspot capable, which is where your phone acts as almost like a wireless modem to your laptop or anything else. This is a specific wireless hotspot dedicated to do only that. It does not make phone calls, can't dial from it. It's specifically geared to take your internet anywhere you go. So obviously it can fit in your purse, it can fit in a pocket. So you are your own hotspot. 5 devices can connect to this at the same time. So if you're in a car, you can keep this in your glove compartment, and your son or daughter can play on their iPod, or you're on your computer, and what have you. So think about taking your internet capability out on the road. This specific MiFi is 3G capable. We just, I think 2 weeks ago, came out with a 4G capable MiFi hotspot, which is really a game changer. Because for one, when you're using your phone as the hotspot, you are reliant on the battery life of that phone. So if you're on a phone call, you're browsing the internet, and it's powering your laptop, you're really at the mercy of what your battery life is dealing with. So if your phone dies, now you have no internet connectivity at all with your laptop. With something like this, you don't have to worry about that at all. It's got a very long battery life, about 2 to 3 days, and it's consistently giving you the network capability that you would need to a tablet, to a netbook, to a computer, or anything else, iPod, that you would need to have Wi-Fi capability.
So if you have like an air card right now, you probably want to upgrade it.
Yeah, so an air card, there's advantages to an air card. An air card doesn't have a battery, so it's relying on the battery life of the computer itself. This still has a battery, it's just much better than your phone battery would be, trying to do the same thing. But yeah, an air card, is everybody familiar with what an air card is? So yeah, okay. No.
That sticks in the USB port?
Sticks in the USB port, right. So it's this, but it physically has to plug into a computer to give you that wireless connectivity. This can be anywhere, as long as you're within 30 feet, you can connect to it and give you that wireless connectivity. Again, you're limited to the battery life of this, which is good, but with an internet card or an air card, you are not limited to that at all.
But you can have 5 people connected to it.
Correct, exactly. So that's the other limitation of the air card, is just one person versus paying the same exact price, you're getting 5 people to share it.
Oh, that was going to be my next question, is the price of it. Is it the same as the airport? I think was it the airport's about 59?
Yeah, actually, it's actually a little bit less. There's 3 different options. There's a $35 option that gives you 3 gigabytes of usage. There's a $50 option that gives you 5 gigabytes, which is the $59.99 option for the air card. And then there's an $80 option that gives you 10 gigabytes. So it's more tiered based on your level.
And is that the same with the 2-year agreement? Is that always the standard, or no? There's no contractual 2-year agreement?
There is a contractual 2-year agreement, or you can buy it outright. So currently the 3G MiFi is $0 on a 2-year contract. Outright would be $130 where you don't have a contract. So yeah, if you decide to purchase this and not have a contract, you can do so just at the outright price. But the monthly cost is the same whether you have a contract or not.
I've got a question going back to the mini netbook. You can, if you purchase this, the netbook,
yes,
you can use MiFi or Droid and
to power it.
Yes, and you wouldn't have any charges for using.
That is correct.
Okay.
If you purchased, and netbooks are available,
right,
through everywhere. The netbooks that we sell require a 3G plan to have built into it. If you went to a Best Buy or anywhere else that sold a netbook that was Wi-Fi only, then yes, you could power it.
Okay.
Yes. Exactly.
Is that data plan that you just spoke to, the 3G, 5G, and 10G tier, is that the same for the netbook?
No, the netbook is the $59.99 5 gig.
Okay, so that's the only option you have with the netbook?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Or, I'm sorry, there is a $39.99 option for 250 megabytes.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Most people don't choose that just because it's not a lot of usage. So everybody understand kind of with the MiFi, what the skill is.
I got a quick question too. As you talk about usage, 3G, 5G, and 10G,
Sure.
can you put that into perspective as far as what we would probably fall into, how much
Sure.
we would have to use on a
Absolutely.
daily or?
Absolutely. Bear with me one moment. Actually, I have a little bit of a breakdown of usage. Okay. So, to really explain usage and speeds, they kind of use the same terminology, so I'm going to be very kind of slow when I talk about this because it can be confusing. You have megabytes and then you have megabits, okay? When we talk about bits, we're talking about speed. When we talk about bytes, we're talking about how much data is being transferred, okay? So when I get into 4G and 3G, I'll talk about why I talk about it, because then I'm talking about bits, and that's speeds of downloading and uploading. Bytes is specifically how much data is being transferred. So when we talk about $50 for 5 gigabytes, that's talking about how much information is being used. So give you an example, a digital photo would be 500 kilobytes. Now, we have kilobytes, we have megabytes, and we have gigabytes. Kilobyte is the smallest. It takes 1,024 kilobytes to equal 1 megabyte. It takes 1,024 megabytes to equal 1 gigabyte. So when you're doing the math, really just divide everything by 1,000. You don't have to worry about the 1,024 in terms of specifics. So a digital photo, low resolution, would be 500 kilobytes. So if you multiply that by, so how many megabytes is that? Well, it's 0.5 megabytes, which is not even close to a gigabyte because it's half a megabyte and it takes 1,000 megabytes to get to 1 gigabyte. A PowerPoint presentation is 3 megabytes. Streaming online radio, so if everybody familiar with Pandora at all? Okay, so if you want to stream audio, that uses roughly 60 megabytes an hour, just to give you a perspective. If you wanted to stream video, so we talked about Skype, that's roughly 260 megabytes an hour. So if you streamed 2 hours worth of video, you're at 1 or half a gigabyte essentially, to give you a perspective. Email without attachments is 10 kilobytes. It's nothing. It's not even close. So you don't really ever have to worry about how many emails you're getting. It's really about the size of the attachment. When you get an attachment, typically it'll tell you how many megabytes or even gigabytes it is. A typical web page is 400 kilobytes, just to give you kind of a perspective. So,
how about a movie?
A
That's
movie?
different than the video.
Well, downloading a movie and streaming a movie is different. So downloading movies roughly are 800 megabytes on average. So you're talking about close to a gig for each movie. So just to give you a perspective, if that helps at all.
So if you were using this for a business application, and you did, for whatever reason that you were doing it, you did a lot of video.
Sure.
That's probably the only thing that's going to start pushing you into some of these upper limits,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. When we first introduced mobile capability with video and audio streaming, the really, really high bills that we saw and going over was typically people streaming. We found a lot of kids streaming a lot of video, online gaming, stuff like that. That's really, the streaming is really what's going to eat up a lot of your capability. Downloading large documents on a 3G aspect is going to take forever anyways. Most people wait into a Wi-Fi environment to do something like that. But downloading a PowerPoint presentation, web browsing, really not a huge concern. We've seen 3 and 5 megabytes be pretty sufficient in terms of usage. When you get into 10 gigabytes, you're really doing a lot of streaming where you're downloading huge documents very consistently.
And I guess the other thing too is that you were downloading stuff in an environment where there's no Wi-Fi.
Exactly.
So like most of us, through most of our day, are in a Wi-Fi area.
Exactly. This is specifically using Verizon Wireless towers, or anybody else's towers for that matter, to get your information. If you're at home and you're doing this, all these devices are Wi-Fi capable, so you wouldn't be using the network, and this would not be eating up your data.
On a practical note, my experience was with 3 gigabytes. I never had an issue ever, no matter what I did, doing everything, unless I chose a movie because maybe I was on the road. And 1 movie, maybe you got in under the wire, but 2, you were done.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, one movie is very close to 1 gigabyte. You just want to be very, very careful with that. Using the towers to download it, absolutely, it's absolutely correct.
So what if you're just like on YouTube and you're downloading videos on YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube's fine.
It's like 2 or 3 5-minute videos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's not. That's not going to be. That would accommodate if you did like 50 of them.
Yeah, I mean,
close to a movie. So.
Yeah, well, because YouTube's streaming, not downloading.
Okay.
So he's talking about actually downloading a movie, because that's using a lot of data. Because the movie itself is worth 800 megabytes. When you're streaming YouTube, you're only doing it at 260 megabytes an hour. So, you know, if you watch 50, 5-minute, I mean, that's not a lot at all, not at all. Everybody kind of understand the difference between gigabytes, megabytes, and kilobytes? If you do, I'm impressed. It took me quite some time to understand all that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mega
But
kilo.
here's the nice thing. The nice thing
Bytes
is
means food.
it's not a guessing game. We have something called My Verizon, where you can actually log in and see where you are in the month. So you don't have to worry about, I have to wait till my bill to see what this is. In fact, on a lot of the smartphones and tablets, there's an actual widget, at least on the Android operating system, that tells you exactly where you are in the month. I originally started out with the 1 gigabyte plan, and after doing so many presentations and showing customers, I was, on my way. I was at 0.7 megabytes halfway through the month. So I knew that if I continued on that pace, I was going to go over. So I backdated my plan to the 3 gigabyte plan, and I'm fine. So you don't have to worry about getting a drastic bill. It's not a guessing game at all. You have complete control on your usage. And your usage will change. As you get more accustomed to these products, you'll probably use them more or less. Also, when you first get these things, typically it's a new toy factor, so you're on it a lot more, and then as you get accustomed to it, you'll dwindle down. So your usage can fluctuate, and you're not stuck in whatever plan that you choose either. You